Hey guys, I'm Chase Brogan. Today in this video, I'm super excited to unbox, demo, and review with you guys a brand new plug-and-play game console that just hit the market. I'm talking about the Neo Zero 1 right here. They offer this in two different capacities. You have the 128 gigabyte version as well as the 512 gigabyte version. So the 512 gigabyte is what I got here today, and I believe without any duplicates. That's what I was told anyways, so I'm really excited to dive into this with you guys. We'll take a look at the layout and design of the actual console, and then we'll fire it up. We'll dive through the entire thing here so you guys can see what collections are included as well as what games are included. Let's dive into it. All right, so very nice packaging here, I will say. Sleek design. Let's go ahead and open this up though. Added very nicely as well. So we've got ourselves a user manual right here. I do want to quickly just thumb through that, not to bore you guys, but I always like to see what they're doing to provide instruction for customers. So we'll open this up. Quick setup on your TV, monitor, or projector. Nice visuals there. Walks through exactly what you need to connect over. For idiots like me, that's pretty idiot proof here. I'm digging it. Very nicely put together there. Not much room for error. Now we have another part of this. Let's see. All right, it shows you how to connect over your wireless controllers, and they have provided those for us in here as well, it looks like. So we'll move that over. Setup guide here for, step-by-step instructions, navigating through your system. All right, so we got one controller right here. Branding even over here on the packaging. I'm digging that. Nice, sleek design to these. Definitely budget friendly, but very responsive. At least, obviously I'm not in game or anything, but very comfortable. Nice chunky handles on here as well, so you can grab onto it very nicely. Very nice. Analog sticks definitely seem to be responsive here. And these are going to go off of a USB-A receiver right here. So we have that ready to go. That'll plug into the actual console. I'm going to set that aside for the time being. Runs off of AAA batteries here, two AAA batteries. We have another one, identical right here. Not going to bother opening that up. And here is the actual console. All right, so let's peel back the tape on this. Here's the actual console itself. I'm going to set that aside. Let's see what else is included in here first. So we have a remote. That's very convenient. We have HDMI cable here. We have our power supply cable. And then we have another, quick little guide here that walks through the contents of the package, but also how you connect everything. So very nicely put together. All right, it's time to actually dive into this console, see what is waiting for us inside here. So let's tear through the packaging. Very sleek design. Looks really quite awesome here. We got a nice Neo Zero 1 label on here. All plastic over here on this side. So if this is the top right here, we assume that's the front. The front has nothing on it. But if we go over here to the side, USB 3 port, USB 2 port right here, micro SD card slot. We're going to go ahead and eject that. Let's take a look at the actual, wow, it's a Samsung 512 gigabyte micro SD card. Now, I can tell you guys how many times I've found a Samsung micro SD card inside of a plug-and-play game console. It's a big fat zero right there. So love the fact that we have a name brand, and this is authentic. I can tell by looking at it. I'm very familiar with Samsung micro SD cards. To have the Evo Plus in here, incredible. I love that. So I'm going to reinsert that in. Almost all of these, no, I will say that all of these have always been generic micro SD cards. If you get a Kinhank, it's going to be generic. If you get an Ambernic handheld, it's going to be generic. So Samsung is a major plus here. DC power supply cable connections, our 5-volt power supply connection is going to plug right in right there. We have our HDMI port right here. That's how you're going to connect this over to a monitor, projector, TV, whatever you decide to connect this over to. Ethernet port right there, so you can plug directly in, have your internet going that way rather than Wi-Fi. And then we have our AV connections over here as well. So we have AV, IR located right over there. So very easy to set this up. I can tell right out of the gate, we're going to take our controllers, USB dongle. We're going to plug that right in over here. We're going to take a power supply cable. We're going to plug that in the back right here. We're going to grab our HDMI cable next. We're going to pop off the protective ends. We're going to plug that into the backside here. And literally all we have to do is plug this into a power outlet, this into the TV, and we're going to fire it up. Let's do it right now. All right, guys, here we are jumping into the Neo 01 plug-and-play game console. Now, we're currently hovering over the all games list. This is going to be your master list for this. Now, this is the 512 gigabyte version, as you saw as we unboxed this with that Samsung micro SD card. So we've got 46,867 games on here in total. That gives you the exact game count. And if we go into the all games list, this is going to be our master list. Again, it has every single title in here in alphabetical order, regardless of the collection. So if you have a PlayStation title, it'll be found in here. If you have a Genesis title, it'll be found in here, MAME, etc., and so on. So everything does appear to be in alphabetical order. Obviously, we start with numbers, we work our way up. What's really cool though is you can hit select on your gamepad controller and you can go over to where it says jump to game beginning with the letter. And let's say we want to go to B titles, just as an example. We'll go over to B, we'll confirm it with our B button on our controller, and it takes us right to the first B title. So that keeps you from having to do this. You can see here as I'm holding down the D-pad down button, we're scrolling through all the B titles. But because there's 46,000 and change games on here, it's going to take you a really long time to scroll that way. So if I want to go in and I want to say, all right, let me look for titles that start with the letter S. All we have to do is just go in here, look for S on here, confirm it with our B button on our gamepad controller. It's going to load into that first S title. So great way to jump around here and kind of explore exactly what you're looking for. Now, I'm going to back out of this altogether with our A button, and we're going to go through this collection by collection. So we're starting off with Amstrad CPC, 1,953 games in total on here. And if we jump in here, you can see each of these titles, again, alphabetical order, but we get great visuals here. It's not just a text list on the left-hand side. We also have the visuals on the right-hand side where it tells us it shows us our description for the title. It gives us a little rating system, tells us where it was developed. It also shows us a screenshot from the game, the cover art, and the logo over there. And then even further over on the right-hand side, it tells us when it was released, who developed it, who published it, the genre of the game, and the last time you played it. In this case, this game's never been played before. So really nice information here. You have access to everything you could ever want. So we're going to back out of this collection. We'll keep it moving. We have Cave over here with 16 games. We have Final Burn Neo with 96 games. I'm a huge Final Burn Neo fan. Love classic arcade games. So we're going to kind of scroll through this. Here's one of my favorites. We have Alien versus Predator right here. 1943, 1944, those games are great as well. We have Avengers over here, and it tells you the set it is or the version of the ROM that you're going to be accessing as well. So big fan of this collection. We're going to kind of just scroll through here, take a look at the titles as they come up. Giga Wing, great title right there. Lots of good stuff though. All your Marvel superhero titles. We got Marvel superheroes here. We've got Marvel superheroes versus Street Fighter, Marvel versus Capcom, Clash of the Superheroes. We have Mega Man in here, a couple Mega Man titles. Very good stuff. I'm impressed by this for sure. And notice that there's no duplicates in here. We have the Punisher, another one of my favorites. I have this up there with Alien versus Predator, in fact. But we don't have multiple versions of the same title. That's one of the things that I look for when reviewing stuff like this. Vampire Hunter 2, great game. All right, we're going to back out. Oh, and X-Men versus Street Fighter down there at the bottom. I don't want to forget that one. That's another one of my favorites for this collection. So we're going to back out. We'll keep it moving. IREM over here with 32 games. We have MAME over here with 1,885 games. And we've got The Simpsons in the background. Another one of my favorites. So let's go in here. We have our own categories for Mortal Kombat and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at the top. So if you're a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles fan, you don't have to even scroll down to the bottom to find what you're looking for. We can go right in here. And you have access to the 4-player version right down here. And you have access to regular Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or you also have Turtles in Time right below that. And these are the 4-player versions, meaning that you can choose any of the characters on here. There's 2-player and 4-player versions. The 2-player gives you a limited selection of characters that you can be, but the 4 players is where it's at right here. This is going to give you access to all of those character options. So we'll back out though. I want to keep scrolling through here. Again, alphabetical order. We have AB Cop. That's a great game. I recommend it if you haven't checked that out. AB Cop Air Bike. Very cool game. Afterburner 1 and 2. You know what? Let's loop around the opposite way. So obviously if you go up here to the top, you can go the opposite direction. We'll scroll through here. We've got Zigzag. We've got, wow, lots of great titles here. X-Men. And here, this is what I was talking about before. For X-Men, for example, you have the 2-player and 4-player versions. And here we go. As a wrestling fan and a gamer, you got to have your WrestleFest here. You got to have your WWF Superstars. And of course, WrestleMania from 1995. And even WrestleWar. WrestleWar is not a WWF or WWE game by any means, but still a great title there. Definitely a classic arcade title for sure. As we scroll up here, though, you can find a lot of additional great titles here. Wacko is an awesome game. Very cool. Recently played that on the original cabinet in Las Vegas, and what a interesting cabinet that one is. So lots of great stuff in here. What's another one we can look up? I always look for Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. So we'll go to our jump to again. We'll go over to M. We'll select that, and we'll see if we can actually locate that. It's kind of a random one, but definitely one that I think, you know, belongs in here for sure. So we're gonna see. There it is, right there. Michael Jackson's Moonwalker. That is the best version of this game. Now, this was also released for, I think, Super Nintendo, if I'm not mistaken, and Genesis, and this is definitely the better version. This is a much more in-depth and just cooler experience. So we'll back out, and we'll keep it moving here. Over here, we've got 15 titles. We got the Atari 2600 over here. 640 games for the Atari 2600. We have the Atari 800 over here with 5,091 games. We have the 5200 with 72 games. Atari ST with 4,739 games. Atari 7800 with 61 games. Atari Lynx over here now with 76 games. We've got Wonder Swan with 112 games. We got Wonder Swan Color with 91 games. We got Oozebox over here with 86 games. ColecoVision with 135 games. We've got Commodore 64 with 4,970 games. We've got Amiga over here with 1,050 games. I'm a big fan of Amiga. Let's jump into the Amiga collection and just kind of take a look. We've got an unreleased collection within here. So we have the unreleased folder at the top. If we jump into that, there's a bunch of different titles in here as well. Looks like about 10 titles or so. Untouchables special, wow, okay, I gotta check that out. So Untouchables is a great game for Amiga. If you've seen the movie with Kevin Costner, same deal there. It's the game for that movie, but I've never seen Untouchables Special Edition. Untouchables is one of my favorites actually for this. It's a very interesting game, but never played the Special Edition, and if we back out, we see why. It's unreleased. So really cool stuff here, and no duplicates. I love that. We've got Afterburner. Well, Afterburner's got 2 versions, but they are different versions, obviously. You can see visually they are quite different, the Activision version versus the Sega version. So really cool stuff inside here. Let's back out. We've got Amiga 32 CD with 82 games. We've got a Doom collection here with 2 games. Odyssey 2, 116 games right there. And I like that that's a streamlined collection, 116 games. There's some that have Odyssey 2 and it's stacked. 116 is streamlined, I like that. We have Intellivision here with 157 games. Let's pop into Intellivision over here. You can see, again, collection by collection, it's laid out the same way, where you have your text list on the left, you get your visuals on the right, with all the pertaining information to each and every title. Really good, love this. We're gonna back out. We have MSX over here with 667 games, MSX2 over here with 80 games. We have Vectrex over here with 71 games. We have PC Engine, 290 games on here. So we'll take a look at PC Engine. Big fan of this collection as well. A little bit lesser known, obviously, than some of the big classics, but great titles can be discovered in here. Batman, one of my favorites personally. So lots of good stuff. You got Bomberman in here. You got Bubblegum Crash. All right. I don't think I played that one. Got Die Hard in here. All right, so we're going to back out. We have Super Graphics next with 5 games. Take a look at the 5 Super Graphics games. There you go. 1941 Counterattack. That was probably my favorite one out of these 5. We'll back out. TurboGrafx 16. 94 games. For the TurboGrafx 16 fans, there is a lot to choose from in here. Alien Crush is cool. Bomberman, of course. I'm going the opposite way here. World Sports Competition, good game. Got Time Cruise up here. Sonic Spike. It's a good volleyball game. If you haven't tried that, definitely check it out. All right, we'll back out of this collection. We have TurboGrafx CD with 35 games. We have Game & Watch over here with 37 games. We've got our family computer over here. 64 games over here. Take a peek inside here. Again, laid out beautifully, just like all the other collections so far. Dig Dug. So the Goonies there. We have NES over here, 866 games. Now remember, you can always add games to this as well. Based on what we're seeing here, there's a lot of great titles, but you may come through here and find that, hey, this doesn't have everything I'm looking for. You can pop that SD card out and add more games with ease. Aladdin is definitely a classic. Alien 3, great game as well. So lots of great titles inside here. We have NES hacks now. 2,400 NES hacks. That's pretty incredible. And it's broken down into different folders. We have unreleased, we have translations, we have NES on a chip, we have homebrew and unlicensed, we have hacks, and we have all-in-one cart betas. You can see what the visual looks like right there. It just adds a lot of value in there by creating everything in one. So very cool. We'll back out. We have Family Disk System over here, 218 games. We have original Game Boy with 440 games. Game Boy Hacks with 90 games. Let's take a look inside here. And again, I love the subcategories inside here. Let's go to let's go up here to hacks actually. So we got a couple. We have Dr. Garfield. We have, and not all of these obviously are going to have the graphics that go with them because these are custom-made games, so they never had those graphics. Pac-Man Classic, cool. Let's go into homebrew and unlicensed. Just take a quick look in there. All right, we'll go to unreleased. Oh, very cool. Gargoyles Quest 2, The Demon Darkness. Loved that back in the day. All right, we'll back out. We've got next SFC, Japanese Super Nintendo in parentheses. 401 games. And that's a Super Family computer. We have Super Nintendo here with 687 Super Nintendo games. Very cool. Super Baseball is a great one. We're going to go down to the bottom now. We've got some WWF WrestleMania, the arcade game. This is, of course, the Super Nintendo version. We have Super WrestleMania. Wow, that takes me back. I actually have this somewhere. We have Royal Rumble. We have Raw. We have Wolverine up here. We have Wolfenstein 3D. It's a great game. I think that's probably my first PC game, in fact. All right. This game is highly, highly, highly underrated right here. WCW Super Brawl Wrestling. We've got right there Dustin Rhodes. We also have Johnny B. Bad, Mark Marrow there in the actual screenshot. Then on the cover you have Vader, Sting, and Ric Flair. This is a great game. Graphics ahead of its time. This came out in 1994, I believe. Actually, I think we could check that with the data, right? Where is it? There we go. Yeah, looks like November 1st, 1994. Very cool. Wayne Gretzky and the NHLPA All-Stars. Some Mortal Kombat up here. Very cool. All right, so we're going to back out.
We've got Super Nintendo hacks over here. We've got Virtual Boy over here with 17 games. We got N64. Okay, I wasn't sure N64 was going to be included on here. So 278 games. Let's see what we have for N64. So we've got hacks up at the top. We got Japanese titles, translations. 007 The World Is Not Enough. I think I'm probably the only person that prefers this over GoldenEye, but I love this game. I have a lot of memories playing this game. More so on PlayStation than N64, but still, great title. Keep it moving here. Bunch of sports games. We got the Army Men games here. Do we have the Cruisin' titles? Let's see, because those are some of my favorite games. We don't have Cruisin' in here. We've got Clay Fighter. Sculptor's Cut, there you go. There's your value right there. If you're paying a couple $100 for this unit, that game right there, if you bought the actual physical copy, would set you back well over $1,000. So definitely some major bang for your buck. We got Doom 64 in here, Duke Nukem 64, Earthworm Jim 3D, ECW, Hardcore Revolution right there. Mike Awesome on the screenshot. Great games here. We got Gauntlet Legends, my all-time favorite video game ever right there. I would always prefer the Dreamcast version as well as the arcade version, but N64 still great game. Hydro Thunder, another amazing title here. Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine, love that. Indy Racing 2000 is a good one as well, good racing game. Jeremy McGrath Supercross 2000. Get some Madden in here. Midway Classics, Mortal Kombat, NASCAR, NBA, NFL Blitz. You got to have Blitz in here. I love that. NHL titles, Perfect Dark. There we go. That's another great game. You got to have that in here. Rampage, Ready to Rumble. Amazing. All right, so we are going to back out of this. Now remember, if there's titles in here that you're like, oh man, I wish it had this, I wish it had that, you can add those in yourself. This is a great starting point. And I think that we have to highlight that aspect of this, because a lot of people think that what you get is all you can do with this. No, you can add your own favorite titles in here as well if there's anything missing. Game Boy Color, 517 games. Game Boy Color hacks in here, 34 games. Now let's do another test here. The Mummy Returns is my favorite Game Boy Color game. I know it's a weird one. It's one that's not super popular. It's a little bit of a niche title, to say the least. Let's go in here and see if it's in here. This is the ultimate test, because I don't know how many people know of that game even. Look at that. Not only do they have, wow, I never knew that this game even existed. The Mask of Zorro. Remember that movie? I want to say it was 99. It's saying here 2000. Maybe the game came out in 2000. The Mask of Zorro. And Anthony Hopkins, Antonio Banderas, Catherine Zeta-Jones. I've never played this game. Never knew it existed. I'm going to have to check that out. But this is what we were looking for. This is the original game, The Mummy. But The Mummy Returns is my favorite game. And we have it in here. We have the screenshot, we have the cover art, we have the actual cartridge. They gave it a terrible rating on here. That's not the true rating. It's so much better than 3/4 of a star. It's a great game. But I wanted to gauge that because, again, not many people know about that title. Not many people would be searching for it. So the fact that it's included on here says a lot. We'll back out now. Game Boy Color hacks, Game Boy Advance. We have over 1,000 Game Boy Advance games. We have 36 Game Boy hacks on here. We have Nintendo DS, 199 games. Never really got into NDS emulation, but let's see what's included on here. Get some Assassin's Creed, some Avatar. Definitely some good-looking games here. I'm not familiar with the majority of these personally. But what was our game count again? Let me back out. 199 games. That's awesome. All right, we've got 70 games over here. Dragon's Lair. I mean, come on. 3DO. We've got Alone in the Dark. Another great title. Do we have? It's another one. Casper's a cool one. Recently played that for the first time. Dragon's Lair. I mean, that is a cult classic right there. Jurassic Park Interactive. Road Rash. I think Road Rash was on like every platform imaginable back then. And then Wolfenstein 3D. Can't go wrong with that. All those versions of that game are incredible. All right, we'll back out. We got Open Bore, Beats of Rage, 5 games in here. Which 5 games do we have? Very good. Now, there's a lot of games you could add for Open Bore. Open Bore has a wide range of phenomenal titles. Add them in at your leisure. You can go in here and say, all right, The Art of Fighting, for example. All right, that's a bad example. That's a great game. But if you went in here and you found one that you're not interested in playing, these are all actually very good. You could delete one and then bring in what you actually want to play. Like there's a Bruce Lee game that's very cool. There's a Kill Bill game that's very cool. You could bring those in and delete here, whatever you think you're not going to enjoy. So there's always the ability to customize your experience here. We have a Thomas Wave with 7 games. We have SG-1000 from Sega with 68 games. We have Sega Master System, 490 games. We got Afterburner right there on screen, one of my favorites. We've got Mega Drive here with 221 games. We've got Genesis now, 890 games. And I see the next collection down the line is Genesis ROM hacks. Let's go into Genesis though. Let's go to, I want to see if we have our Sonic titles. I mean, of course we're going to have Sonic, but let's just verify. Let's go to S. I guess we could go to T and then work our way up. It's either way. Yeah, I think T was the closer call there. So we got Sonic and Knuckles. We've got Sonic and Knuckles, as well as Sonic the Hedgehog. All right, cool. Sonic and Knuckles and Sonic 2. All right, so these are dual games, which is awesome. So you can go in there and you can choose what you want to play. But we do have the straight up Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, and 3 in here. I mean, you've got everything you could ever want for Sonic. Sonic 3D Blast, which I overlooked. Another great one. All right, we'll back out of that collection. ROM hacks next. We have Sega Game Gear over here with 263 games. We even have Game Gear hacks in here. We have Mega Drive coming up next with 1,975 games. We've got, whoops, hit the joystick there, the analog stick. Where were we? All right, Mega Drive, yeah, 1975. We have Mega Drive 32X with 44 games. Sega CD over here with 109 games. We've got Sega Saturn now, which, wow, 254 games for Sega Saturn. I'm definitely going to be diving into demos for this because this is a collection that can be tough to emulate, believe it or not. 3D Baseball, I love 3D Baseball. I know not many people do, but great game in my opinion. Casual gameplay there for sure. Andretti Racing is great. Area 51, classic light gun game right there. Batman Forever, not my favorite game. But hey, it's Batman at the end of the day. Bug's a cool one. Bust a Move, Casper. Now, do we have, I mean, with this amount of titles, we should have, I think, was The Crow up there? Yes, awesome. City of Angels, The Crow. Do we have D in here, disc 1 and 2. We have Daytona. We have a bunch of Daytonas. Wow, we even have the Netlink edition. That's a great version of this game. Doom in here, Double Dragon in here. Double Dragon. Double Switch, I meant. Earthworm Jim. Now, did we have Die Hard, though? I don't think we have Die Hard. Okay. All right, they got to add Die Hard Arcade. Die Hard Arcade is my favorite Sega Saturn game, but that's all right. Still, and again, so you go in here and you say, hey, for me personally, Die Hard Arcade, I want to add that in here. Simply add it in via the micro SD card. And because it's a Samsung micro SD card, you're able to do so without the risk of corruptions because generic cards, man, they corrupt on a regular basis. Oh, House of the Dead, there we go. House of the Dead right down here. It's another great title. But yeah, Samsung ones are much more stable, so you can bring those in and out of a computer very easily and not have to worry about corruptions the same way that you would with a generic card. Now we've got 266 Dreamcast games. Dreamcast, as you guys know, anybody that's watched my channel knows that. That's one of my favorites. So Four Wheel Thunder is a great game. Aqua GT, I see that right down here. Another great game, very similar to Hydro Thunder. I wonder if Hydro Thunder's in here. We already saw it for a different collection, but it was in N64. I wonder if it's in here. Confidential Mission, love that for Dreamcast. Great light gun game. You got some Daytona USA in here. Graphics are going to be kicked up considerably from the previous collection, which was Sega Saturn. What else do we have? We've got some ECW wrestling in here, which is great. So what are we looking for? Let's see if we have, first off, Gauntlet Legends. I already mentioned this before. My favorite game ever, and this version is my favorite by far for the home console version, so that's great to see on here. But let's check out Hydro Thunder. There it is. So this has so many amazing titles in it, and I'm looking for obscure titles. I'm always into obscure titles, and Hydro Thunder is definitely one of those, as is Gauntlet Legends, and they're in here. So I'm a big fan of that. Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2. Gotta have those in here, and they do. NBA titles, you got some NFL Blitz in here, regular NFL titles. Nightmare Creatures 2 is a cool game. Very good. All right, we'll back out. I saw Resident Evil there at the end. We have Sega Naomi over here with 6 titles. Confidential Mission, which we did have for Dreamcast as well, but different version. Got some Street Fighter in here, some Marvel vs. Capcom 2, The New Age of Heroes. We'll back out. Sharp 68,800 games. Sinclair ZX81 with 1,421 games. ZX Spectrum from Sinclair over here. We've got SNK, and I didn't wait long enough to see the title. Count 5,249. SNK Neo Geo CD, we have 36 games. Regular Neo Geo System 175. We're going to find our Metal Slugs in there, which are my favorites for Neo Geo. 9 games from Neo Geo Pocket. Neo Geo Pocket Color is going to have 85 games. We've got original PlayStation with 1,232 games. That's a massive collection right there. 007 Racing to kick it off up there as the second title. Tomorrow Never Dies. Not one of the best ones in my opinion. The World Is Not Enough. I already said this before. One of my favorites for sure. Arguably my favorite, straight up. We'll scroll down here. We've got some Crash Bandicoot titles. We got Croc in here. There's the Crow again for PlayStation rather than Sega Saturn. We have D in here, which was also in Sega Saturn. Dave Mirra Freestyle BMX. Now, let's go down to the T titles. I want to see if Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 is in here. It's one of my favorite titles for this collection. We'll go over to T. We'll select that. Saves us a whole lot of time scrolling down there. We've got Tekken 1, 2, and 3. Gotta have those, right? Test Drives in here. What was I looking for? Oh, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. There they are. We've got Tony Hawk Pro Skater. We got Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 down here. We've got 3 and we've got 4. Incredible. Twisted Metal. The first UFC game ever right here. I remember my first experience with that game was with Game Boy Color. And actually, do we have, I gotta check and see if we have, I gotta check the roster of that game, but great game. We'll back out. We have PSP over here now with 156 games. Let's check this out. So we got some PSP minis, but we have full-scale PSP games as well. There's 113 PSP minis. I love that that's in its own folder, and it's not just integrated into the broad collection here, because that's one way that I've seen a lot of, deceiving sort of game drives and plug-and-play consoles, where you'll go in there and you'll find like 300 PSP games, and you find out that it's the majority are PSP minis. That's not the case here. We've got its own collection within. So 50 Cent Bulletproof G-Unit Edition up here at the top, great game. Avatar, Last Airbender up there. We've got Crash Team Racing, great. Big fan of that. Dragon Ball Z's in here. Grand Theft Auto, Vice City Stories. We get some Harry Potter in here. Mega Man, some Marvel. NBA, Need for Speed, NFL, NHL. NHL 2007 is a good game. I actually have that game for PSP. Tron Evolution. Lots of good stuff. Twisted Metal. Very cool. All right, we'll back out. Supervision is next with 46 games, and now we have our custom collections of 2-player and 4-player games. So if you want to kind of explore this and say, hey, I want to play with 3 of my buddies, you go into 4-player games and you find games that are 4-player. And that's going to be 4-player across all the different collections that we've toured through. And here we are back to where we started with 46,867 total games on here. But it's time to test out the performance of this plug-and-play game console today. And just for reference here, this uses the Amlogic S905X4 quad-core Cortex AS5 processor. That's 4 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. We have the Android 11 open source retro mode operating system that we've been touring through today. And again, 46,867 games. But let's dive into some of those games to test out the performance.
Round 2, fight!
All right, guys, we jumped into the Neo 01 plug-and-play game console today, and I love the sleek design of this. I love the portability to this. It's very lightweight, very compact. You can take it with you on the go very easily. If you're traveling, throw it in a suitcase or a backpack. You can take that along with the two gamepad controllers that are included with ease. Now, in terms of these controllers, they're great starter controllers. They're not super high-end by any means, but they are responsive. The only thing I'm not crazy about is the analog sticks. I just find them to be very sensitive. If you're in a racing game, for example, and you want to make a left turn, you're likely making a really hard left turn or a really hard right turn. There's not much middle ground there, so they get you into everything effortlessly. Again, you don't have to map anything. You don't have to do any adjustments with settings in the operating system or with the controllers. They are truly plug and play, so they get you into everything effortlessly. But if you're going to be playing a lot of games on here, you're going to be playing like a lot of racing games, you probably want to upgrade your controllers eventually. Now, in terms of what is offered on here, first off, we have that Samsung micro SD card, which is huge. This is the first time I've ever seen a plug-and-play game console that has a name brand micro SD card inside. Usually you get these cheap generic options that just aren't reliable and they're prone to corruptions. With Samsung, you're going to reduce your risk of having a corruption drastically. I mean, these are the most high-end micro SD cards. These are the micro SD cards that I film on, in fact. They are top-notch, highly reliable. So love the fact that that's included in here. That adds even more bang for your buck when you consider the price point on here. Now, the smaller capacity option, which is not what I reviewed here today, is priced at $159.99. The version that I have today is $229. When you consider the cost of the micro SD card, the controllers, and everything, there's huge value in this. We also have an abundance of games, over 46,000 games included in here. We toured through all that. I think you guys got a feel for what's included on here. But remember, if you don't find exactly what you're looking for on here, you're able to go in and you're able to add your own games. If there's games on here you know you're never going to play, which let's face it, with 46,000, the majority of these games we're not going to play. You can go in and start deleting some titles and free up space to bring in the titles that you actually want to play on a regular basis. So you don't have to use this exactly as it comes. You can customize your experience, tailor it to exactly what you're looking for. And I highly recommend doing so. Now, in terms of performance, the performance is very good on here for everything retro. Now, where you're going to have some disconnect, if any disconnect, would be with Dreamcast, as well as N64. PSP, you could have some titles that are a little bit laggy that you have to customize the settings on, but I had a very good experience within PSP today. Now, N64, there's some titles like the Star Wars titles where they're very laggy. They're not a good experience, but they're few and far between. The majority of titles work very well, and a couple things that you can do is you can adjust the settings for your emulators. You can change your emulators as well. So if you find a title that's not performing perfectly, alter the emulator, switch out the emulator, and you will likely find that it works better on a specific emulator. That's the thing with N64. It's a little bit picky with what works best. So you may have to do some settings adjustments to really get the full potential out of this product with that collection. Dreamcast, I had a very good experience, but there are a couple titles where you'll notice a little bit of lag. You can adjust the settings a little bit there as well. So I won't say that those two collections are perfect, but they're pretty close to perfect. Everything else, though, Classic Arcade, Sega Genesis, Thomas Wave, all that stuff, Sega Saturn even, which is a demanding one to emulate, all of those collections are going to work perfect on here. So definitely bang for your buck. I think it's worth every penny of what the asking price is on here. In fact, I think there's tremendous value based on the micro SD card you're getting, the amount of games you're getting, and the fact that you do have a plug-and-play experience with these controllers. Yes, you probably want to upgrade those, eventually, but still, you're able to get right into everything effectively with what's provided. And you even get a remote right here, which makes life a lot easier for making settings adjustments, volume changes, stuff like that. So lots of value here. I'm a big fan of what this has to offer. Most importantly, though, I am a huge fan of the fact that there's no duplicates on here. Now, there are going to be some that look like duplicates. Oftentimes, it's going to be a game that has multiple discs, so keep an eye out for that. But definitely a clean setup here, very easy to navigate. Everything's in alphabetical order. Everything is scraped beautifully. When I say scraped, I mean all the data from each of the titles is pulled up on screen perfectly. You have your logos, you have your screenshots, you have your visuals that go along with every title. Every collection is uniform. It looks like it's been done exactly the same way. So attention to detail on here is top notch. Highly recommend this product. Let me know in the comments what you guys think, though. And to get some additional information, you guys can click the link at the top of your screen, as well as in the description of this video. That's going to do it for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hit me up in the comments. You guys know the deal. Thumbs up on the video right here. And of course, hit subscribe to stay in the loop for all future videos. And be on the lookout for more videos that I do testing out future products from Neo 01 right here.